I want to honor someone we just lost. Mother Viola Fletcher, oldest survivor of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, has died at 111 years old. Wow. She testified before Congress at 107 years old in 2021 about the massacre that destroyed her community when she was 7 years old. She spent her life speaking out against violence and advocating for reparations for survivors and their families. Rest in power.
111.
Yeah, there's only one more survivor, and she's also 111, but she is 6 months younger than Mother Fletcher.
Boy, so I'll have what they're having.
One more survivor.
You really want to live that long?
111 years?
Yeah.
If you look how good she looks. She was testifying in Congress 5 years ago.
I know, well, that's her.
Okay.
Not everybody ages like that.
I want to age like you.
BS detected.
Shout out to Rhonda for sending me a reminder after last night's show or Wednesday show. Wednesday. Reminded me about this story. I got so caught up I did not cover it. I want to cover it now. Rest in power to Viola Fletcher. Miss Viola Fletcher. I just want to say, this segment was garbage. It'd be hard to make a segment that wasn't more garbage than that. Not only did they whitewash what the woman stood for, I mean, the first thing that jumped out of my head was the woman lived 111 years and she still didn't live long enough to get justice. That's sitting right there. That line sitting right there. It's a broadcaster. That line is there for anybody who's a part of the craft. Sonny's been doing these shows for 20 years. That line was sitting right there. And she's got professional writers. They didn't use it because this show is not about setting it up for us. It's about using us. What'd they do? Make it funny. They made it funny. They made it a joke. They made it ha-ha. Look how good she looks. And then they went to the place that so many black women allow white people to go. Vanity. Vanity. Yeah, I got to tell you, sisters, it's what it is. Too many times you fall for the okie doke when it comes. All it takes is someone to compliment you. All one of the whites got to do is compliment your hair or your voice or tell you you look nice, and it's a wrap. This time it was, black don't crack. Black don't crack. A lot of blacks cracked in Tulsa. They cracked, they bled, they died. And if you couldn't say a fucking word about it, instead it was a ha-ha-ha, if only I could look that good. It's just so well spoken. You know, when we're pointing out that Sunny Hostin is not a black American, we're pointing out not just, I can't speak for everybody. Let me not speak for everybody. When I'm pointing out that Sunny Hostin is not a black American, I'm not pointing that out because I have a problem with Puerto Ricans. I'm not pointing it out because her dad's a black or whatever, whoever said, whatever it is. I don't care. Some of us believe that black people stand up for black people. We know that to be bullshit. Hence the Congressional Black Caucus. Hence Jasmine Crockett and Clyburn. Hence Tim Scott. Hence so many, many others. We can just keep naming motherfuckers, right? But I think we have to more collectively continue to grow and realize all skin folk ain't kinfolk, and not just say that, but embrace what it means fully. Family. A black city, a black town was bombed by whites who were just jealous that we went off on our own after slavery to a place where we could kind of be away from violence, away from whites, and build our own shit. And we did such a good job of building our own shit. They became jealous, came and destroyed it and took it. They killed our women and our women and men and children. They stole out of our homes, and then they burnt them to the ground. It was the first case where an airplane was used to drop bombs on our own country under the agreement and in conjunction with the police. So when Jasmine Crockett talks about ICE officers being slave patrols, nah. She could have been talking about this. She could have talked about how cops drop bombs on black people, not migrants. Racist cops and racist, bigoted, jealous assholes killed and bombed out a city. And the last one of two survivors couldn't see any justice directly when they were directly the people there. Now you can tell me we got time to be worried about some migrants. We got time to worry about people who are undocumented in a country they shouldn't have been in, that they weren't born in, because if they were born here, they're citizens. But we don't got time to worry about that. We'll allow the rest of you liberals to deal with that. We can't even get the people affected by a state-sanctioned bombing, terroristic act, where police officials of the state took part to even compensate the people who were affected. We can't even get that accomplished. We can't even get justice in that case. And we got to hear about, if we need to be united or we'll be divided. How many migrants lost sleep today over Tulsa? Man, I got a treat for y'all. Back in September 16, 2021, I had the pleasure to have a conversation with Dr. Reverend Robert Turner, a Oklahoma native. He told me all about Tulsa, Oklahoma. We shared it with the audience. Here goes an excerpt from that amazing conversation. Lock in. Stay dangerous.
At the beginning, to be honest, the Black brothers put up a good fight. They retreated all back to Greenwood area, put up a decent fight. But when these white folk got airplanes, Mr. Black, when they got access to airplanes that were owned by corporations and other folks, and they used airplanes to drop bombs or incendiary devices on Greenwood, which was the first time, I must say, in American history that airplanes were used to terrorize Americans. Mm-hmm. The planes were not flown by Al-Qaeda. They weren't flown by the Japanese. That was Pearl Harbor. Al-Qaeda was 9/11. The planes were flown by good old boys.
Al Cracker.
Men. Mm-hmm. And the first victims of aerial terrorism in this country were Black folk. You may never learn that in history class. We just commemorated 20 years from 9/11. And so when they got the airplanes, yes, you stated, and the houses that didn't get bombed by the airplanes, they would go into the houses at gunpoint, tell everybody to get out the house. Sometimes they would shoot into the house and say, hurry up and get out. Sometimes they would go into the house and bring them out. Sometimes if they didn't come out quick enough, they shot in there. Sometimes if they came out when they were supposed to come out, they still shot the people and then got everything out their house. They would drive pickup trucks up to the houses and ransack everything inside the house. And it was so bad, brother, that a lot of the folks, a lot of the women who were helpful white families said they saw their husbands' cufflinks and monogram shirts in the houses of white people, mink coats being worn by white women. And sometimes the white folk were so devious, they tried to sell back the property that they stole from black people to black people. And then they will usher the black folk out their house, have them march with their hands up to go to concentration camps. And if they didn't go fast enough, they would shoot at them. Sometimes they still went fast enough, they would still shoot. There was this one story about a sister who stomach was cut open because she was pregnant. And they cut her stomach open, took the baby out of her stomach, and threw the baby to the ground, smashed baby's head in.
I want to stop right there. Oh, wow. You mentioned about the personal possessions that were taken from the black folks. Let's talk a little bit about the amount of affluence in this particular town, because I think people don't realize that there's a lot of success was taking place in Tulsa. It wasn't just because of the movie. I feel that there was some social, some jealousy of black people at that time in this particular place who were doing well. Could you speak to, how black folks were doing business-wise and taking care of their families?
Tulsa Greenwood district had the highest per capita. Greenwood district is the place black folks live. Had the highest per capita home ownership for black people than any place in the country. Any place in the country. It was largely from the oil money that created a boom in this area. Also, a lot of folks don't know the black people were slaves to Native Americans. And when the Native Americans, when emancipation came for us in 1865, some Native American tribes kept their slaves a year later, and the black folks didn't get released in 1866. But they gave they called them freedmen, some land to grow crops on. So they had a little bit of money, and they would come to Greenwood to spend their money. And I go back to that other point about Native Americans having slaves. During the Trail of Tears, it was definitely Trail of Tears, but a lot of folks don't realize black slaves traveled with the Native Americans along the Trail of Tears. We cut the trees down for the Trail of Tears. We made it a trail by our sweat and our blood. So we can't miss that. There's been no suffering in this country that black folks, unfortunately, have been a part of. Period. Point blank. Point blank. And we still haven't got reparations from them yet either. So that's a whole nother conversation. Right? And so we had money for a lot of us had land as freedmen from Native American tribes. We had crops, we were growing on that. Then when this oil discovery happens, it just went crazy. And you have black folks in the service industry that were making bank. Like it was, just to give you one anecdotal fact. Greenwood at the time of 1921 had about 10,000 black people, 1,256 homes. 1,256 homes we had. All of them were destroyed, right? Well, some of them weren't. We had 1,256 homes were burned to the ground. Some of the homes, they were just so big, the white folk thought the white people owned them, so they didn't burn those down, right? But out of 10,000 people, brother, we had in 1921 folk who had their own cars. And 6 people out of the 10,000 had their own airplanes. Mr. Black, I can't tell you today in 2021, a community of 10,000 black folk and 6 of them own their own airplane.
Wow. Astonishing.
Yes. That's the amount of wealth that we had.
Most dangerous. Stay dangerous. Stay dangerous.